Hello everyone. Our topic is hospital biology sample storage and management system. Next. We have 6 parts. The first part is the project objectives and architecture. Next. These are our project objectives. First, it can manage biology and non-biology sample information data and provide sample managers with efficient addition, deletion, modification, and search on data. And it can record other relevant information such as the time and place of collection, transportation, and warehousing. It also can manage organization usage and consumption data for samples. Then it can do some analysis, for example, analyze the sample distribution by organizations and types, analyze the trend of changes in the number of orders and transactions in different months. Next. This is the architecture diagram. First, download source data from Kaggle on internet. Second, import data into Azure Blob Storage. Third, create data sets, data flows, pipeline in the Azure Data Factory. Synchronize the data into Azure Data Studio. Then in Azure Data Studio, we can use SQL to query. And finally, we can use Tableau and Power BI to do visualization. Next. The next part is the ERD. For the relational model diagram, we have 5 tables and some fields: size, location, samples, sample type, sample transactions. Next. For the document model diagram, we combine 4 tables into one. We have a document and 3 sub documents. Next. For the graph model diagram, we have 2 nodes, employee project group and 3 ages, workforce leader, partner. Let me team members introduce the next part.
The third part of our project is the data pipelines and table creations. Next. So we'll start with the relational data model. So firstly, we'll generate our data from the Makaru site, and then we'll upload the CSV to the Azure Blob Storage. Like the image below, you can see the CSV files. Next. And then we will grab the CSV and then create dataset in the Azure Data Factory. And then for each table, normally we'll create a separate data flow. And then we'll combine those data flow together as a data pipeline. Also, we'll add the trigger for the auto refresh for the relational data model. For example, here we set the trigger to once per day. And then next. So here are the code for table creations for the relational data model. We have sample types, samples, and sample transactions. Here are the example of how the data looks like in the query. Next. So here are the document data model. So similar to the relational, we'll first import the datasets to the Blob storage and then grab the dataset into Azure Data Factory and then create tables for further process. In here, we'll use for JSON pass. Next. So here are the code for the JSON file generations. We have some examples on the right down corner, and then the code is above. We also had the query example here on the right side. It has 3 subclass. It starts with the organization, and then the customer under it, and then the orders under the customer, and then the shipment under the orders. Next. We'll use the Azure Logic app to do the data refresh for the document data model, we'll create a stored procedure here. The code is here, and then we'll add the stored procedure into the Azure Logic app, and then set the frequency and the time so it can run itself at the given time. Next. The last is the graph data model. As the data shows above, we have 2 nodes and then 3 kind of edges. On the right side, there are codes for the table creations for the node table and the edge table. Similar as other pipelines, we'll start with the table creations. First, we'll create the employee node here, and then we're able to generate the edges workflow, which is a connection between itself. It connects employees and its manager, which is also employee. And after the employee node is generated, and then we can generate the project group node. And then we can finally include in the other 2 edges, which is the employee part is the part of the project group, and then the employee is the leader of the project group. Next. So here are the pipelines for the edges to process. So first, we'll start with the source data set, which is the employee CSV, and then we'll do a split to filter out then those that doesn't have manager and those has managers. And then we'll select the columns we need, and then we'll merge with the node itself. And then we'll select out the duplicated columns, and then we'll merge with the employee node again to get the relationship. And the below is the part of and the leader of edges. It's similar to the process above, but it has 2 joins after the split in order to create 2 different edges with the same data set. Next. In here, we also use the triggers inside the pipeline for auto refresh, like the one shows in the left side. And next. And we also have the audit tables for data refresh. So here we have 2 examples for one of the node tables and one of the edge tables. It will record the timestamps and the action and the changes. And then we'll hand over to the next part.
This part is visualization. Our group used the Tableau and Power BI to do the visualization to help us to analyze the biosample data. We can see the first picture. It looks like a ball. It's graph visualization. We use Power BI to draw it. This picture describes the workflow relationship between each employee node. We can see the graph design diagram at the top. This picture represents this part of relationship. Some of the employees will work for the others. In order to help us to see the picture more clearly, we also magnify one part. Just to filter some data to present. We can see it seems like there are a lot of little circles like this. And each circle has a center, just like this one. The 23 is the employee ID, and he is just like the manager. Other employees will work for him. Next is also a graph visualization. We can also see the graph design diagram at the top. It describes this part of relationship. Some employees will be the leader of the project groups, and some employees are not the leader and will be part of the project groups. We can see there are also some circles in the picture. And this time, the center is the project group node. And the other nodes are the employees. The ages are the relationship. And this is the leader of, and this is part of. Because we use the Power BI to draw it, so we also need to create some views. And this part is the graph views code. Next, the next few graphs, we both use the Tableau. These two pictures describe the numbers of different kinds of samples in and out. This part is in and this is out. We can see the, and we also sorted the data, so we can directly know which type of samples has the largest out number, or the miniest out number, and so on. In this picture, we use line chart to analyze the trend of orders count and transaction count in different months. We can see the April of this year. The order count and transaction count are both very low, so it just gave us a very important signal. Then we can analyze in the region and solve this problem. In these pictures, we analyze the sample distribution by different organization types. This is the top 5 total due of different organizations. And this is the sample count of each sample type. The color chart below is the cumulative graph of the sample number in different organizations, and different colors represent different sample types. These two pictures, we analyze the employee information. This is the transaction count of different employees. It can reflect the work ability of each employee. And the picture below, it describes the working years of different employees. We can see the most experienced employee has been working for 22 years. This is all of the visualization part. Next is our future plan. For our group, hospital biosample storage and management is a very meaningful topic. So we hope to improve the system in the future. For example, for the data source, we use the CSV file. So when we add some new data, we need to update the file. But in the real world, it's not very convenient to update the file every time. So maybe we can add a front end or some other techniques to improve this. And for the visualization, we only analyze from 2 or 3 dimensions. So maybe we can add some dimensions or use some machine learning algorithm to help us to do some deep analysis. Then we can manage this biosample data better. Thank you, everyone. That's all of our presentation.